Hi, this is Sherry Methling with Ancient Healings Around the World. I saved the best for last, apparently. I knew to end my mission here through the UK, Scotland and Ireland and Wales, at Cornwall in England. And here I am, St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall. It's a church that sits atop this mountaintop. It's very interesting because the only way you could get to it is during high tides or low tides. When the tide is low, the water goes down and the path is created because a path was built so you could get from the mainland onto the island. It's almost like the parting of the Red Sea. They built this path leading onto this island. When I came here, when I arrived here at 8:30 in the morning, I thought, the highest vibrational places, islands that I've been to, abbeys, churches, priories, have been the ones on an island. I could feel it. High vibrational, peaceful, cleansing. It just felt by far the best to my energetic body. Spiritual, blessed, peaceful, everything, all of the above. I felt it. From Iona Island in Scotland, Columba Church, and then we also had the other island, Holy Island, Lindisfarne in England. Again, a path that was created only because the ocean went down, the low tide, and then you could walk across the land between usually 7 a.m. and around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. And then after that, the ocean went over the land. And the only way you could get from point A to point B would be a boat. But these islands, that island, you couldn't get through on a boat. It was just by foot or car during those hours. Iona, on the other hand, was only by ferry. And here, at St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, England, I walked over by foot. In America, we would say about maybe 3 blocks. And it was paved with stones and cement in between. And it's interesting because they could have made a bridge, but they didn't. They just made a path. So it was only between certain hours, usually between 7 a.m. and about 10:30 a.m. that you could get across by foot because of low tides. Again, I think of the story of Moses, the parting of the Red Sea. And then the water collapsed and all those other people were washed away. So the only way you could get to a lot of these islands is during low tide or by ferry. The highest vibrational, the best feeling lands, churches and abbeys were the ones on the islands. Moving forward, a little history here. This church, St. Michael's Mount, it was built around the 1100s, and monks, priests, reigned on this land for about 300 years, from 1100 to around 1500. And once again, King Henry VIII, he didn't destroy this church. Like a couple others, he turned it into a fort. So with the Reformation, 1500s, the next 150 years, it was a fort to protect the land. So you'll see in my pictures on Facebook, if you go to my Facebook page, Sherry Methling, or Promised Land page, you'll see more pictures inside the beautiful castle and church as I walk through it. So it went from being a monastery, a friary or a priory for 300 years with monks, worshiping, praying, into a fort for 150 years. And then after that, a colonel bought it in the 1600s. Sorry about the wind. I tried to pick a spot where there wouldn't be too much wind, but we are off the Atlantic Ocean. You don't see a picture in the background of the actual church because it's too windy over there. So in any event, a colonel bought it in 1600s and he turned it into a home. So people actually do live on the property. So that's about all I could get in. Now I will say though, in addition, the colonel who bought this property, he had this fear that he would die crossing the water to the mainland. And that fear came true. because that was his death. He crossed the mainland with his horse and he was swept away by the ocean. So the question becomes, manifestation because of his fear? Or was it a premonition, foresight, insight, or a knowingness in how he was going to transition or die in this lifetime? That is the question. But our fears do create reality, just as much as our positive thoughts create reality. Or was it just a premonition that he had, a knowingness inside of him, and this is how I'm going to die? So he died, crossing the ocean, being swept away by the Atlantic Ocean, with also his horse. And now, today, it is a church. Pilgrims came here for hundreds and hundreds of years, walking the land, coming hundreds of miles to this church. During the fort, of course, people weren't coming here as pilgrims. Between the 1600s and probably the mid 1800s, Civil War times. There's a gravesite behind me, chapels, some people living on the property. It's absolutely stunning, so peaceful. Just like Linden's Farm, Holy Island in England, as well as Iona, St. Columba, creating these churches, abbeys, monasteries, and these three in particular ones were islands that you could only get to when the tide was low or by ferry. And these, I noticed, were the highest vibrations, most spiritual, sacred spaces that I felt. And I'm reporting here at St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall, England. And this is where I end my journeys, covering this series with the UK, and that's Sherry Methling with Ancient Healings around the world. Might be a little foggy, there's a little rain, it seems to rain a little bit every day, just to wash and cleanse our spirit and soul. Every day, it seems like. It's December, St. Michael's Mount. I saved the best for last. Signing out. Also, actually, just came to me, Ley Lines, St. Michael's Ley Lines, as I talked about in my video at Glastonbury. You see, ley lines it's a perfect line with all these different sacred sites, buildings, monuments, churches, abbeys, as well as castles, bridges, sacred wells. They're all in alignment. It's a perfect line. Was it done on purpose? Well, it looks kind of obvious that it was. Perfect alignment. St. Michael's Ley Lines. Look them up on Google. You'll see the ley lines. I'll post that also on my Facebook page. The ley lines, St. Michael's Ley Lines, Virgin Mary's Ley Lines. So this one is also connected to the Glastonbury, Avebury, and a lot of other castles, monuments, and churches along the way. Perfect alignment from Cornwall and moving on. And these ley lines are not just through the UK, but ley lines are also connected throughout the entire world. Pyramids, Egypt. Not just Egypt, there's pyramids all over the world. Perfect alignment from England to Egypt to China, Peru, Indonesia. Ley lines. Check me out on Facebook. More pictures, informations, also a little bit more information if you click below in the description. Signing out at St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall. Sherry Methling with Ancient Healings around the world. So you can see it at the top there. Zoom in. I don't know if it doesn't really zoom in. So, signing out.